Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. Yay! Start of a new year. So this year for our quilt along, what we are going to be doing is 6 table runners and 6 small projects. So we're going to start January with a table runner. Next month will be a small project, then a table runner, and so on like that. So that'll give you, 60 days or so to get each one of them completed in between the time that we present and do a new one. So lots of fun. If you're new here, I don't monitor this channel a whole lot, but you can always find me over in Peggy's Quilting Group on Facebook if you'd like to join over there. And if you had any questions or just wanted to show off your projects, we would absolutely love to see you over there. And so yeah, let's get into it. So this month, Peggy has given us the Diamonds table runner, and that is what it looks like, which is really cool. Now, I'm not going to go over the whole fabric list. I will put a link for you to download these instructions. They will also be in Peggy's Quilting Group. But she recommends 5 fabrics. But when I was looking at the picture, it looks like she only used 3. And I thought I really like the way that looks. So I'm just going to use 3. And what I have chosen is this beautiful blue with the gold. I had some extra of it. So I'm going to use this for my long straight panels because I think it matches the gold and the fabric really well. And then I've got this beautiful light batik for my diamond shapes. So let's get started. Download your instructions, get all your pieces cut, and let's get into it. So the first thing we're going to do is make our half square triangles. Now she's using 5-inch squares, so you'll need to cut, I believe we need 16 half square triangles altogether. So you'll need 8 of your dark and 8 of your light if you're only using 3 fabrics like I am. If you've planned yours out a different way, that's fine, but you still need 16. So if you want to do the easy 16 method, you can do that. But they do need to come out, I believe it's 4.5 inches. So I'm using 5-inch squares, and I'm just going to make 8 of them and then cut them in half, and that will give me my 16. So I am going to, what I've done is I've drawn a line corner to corner in a light pencil. I don't know if you'll be able to see that on the back of that one. Put my fabrics right sides together and match up all of the corners. Okay, and then I'm going to sew 1/4 inch away from this drawn line on each side. I'm actually going to do a scant 1/4 inch because you can always trim your block down, but you can't add to it. So I do about a scant 1/4 inch. So we're going to turn around, come down the other side. Alright, so you should have it sewn on both sides like that. Now we're going to cut it apart and prep it. Okay, so I like to square mine after I press them open, but if you're using a different squaring tool, once we slice these in half, which we're going to do corner to corner right on the drawn line, gives 2 half square triangles. You can go ahead and square them now, just whatever method you prefer, but I'm going to press mine to the dark side. And remember, this is biased, so it's kind of stretchy, so just, be kind of gentle with it. Even though we are squaring them, you still don't want to get your fabric all distorted. Alright, I'm going to bring my little cutting mat up here, and I'm using the Block Walk ruler to square mine. We're going to square these to 4.5 inches squared. So I'm going to cut both sides. I like to do it on both sides. I do this first side, that gives me a good clean edge to go by, and then I can turn it around and 4.5, 4.5, and just give it a trim. Okay, let's do one more. I'm sorry about the noise in the background. My parrots are out. You guys should be used to them by now. Okie dokie. Alright, that one's squared. Get rid of this mess. So once you have all 16 of your half square triangles, now we're ready to put the 2 diamond center parts together. Now in the pattern, she gives you a diagram to go by so you can see how you need to lay these out. And that's just what I'm going to use. So we're going to use 8 for the first one. So the dart goes up and to the left. This one goes this way. The dart goes to the center. Let me scoot these over a little bit. And this one goes this way. And then this one, the light goes up here. So you're just making a diamond shape with your lighter fabrics. So your darks are going to go to the center there. Oops, that's 2. And this one goes like that. Okay, so there's our diamond shape with our light fabric. So we're going to make 2 of those. We're going to make an additional one out of the other 8 half square triangles. And then we're just going to sew these together. And I'm going to turn my mat here because I'm just going to sew them like into rows and then stitch all the rows together. Alright, so I've got my first 2 go like this, and I'm just going to line these up and stitch 1/4 of an inch. Now you may have to refold your seams, repress them to get them to nest nicely. So there's the first 2. Here are the second 2. I'm just going to push that, roll that seam up so that it'll nest with that other one. Make sure it's all lined up. And the next one. And I'm going to roll this seam down. And then the last 2. Okay, so now all we got to do is stitch all of these together, and I'm just going to leave them all connected here and flip these open. I'm going to finger press that seam that way, this seam this way so that they nest, and fold that over, line everything up, and it all should line up because we squared everything, so it should go together really easily. Okay, so that set's done. So then this one, I'm going to finger press that seam the opposite way, flip it over, and just work my way down until I get all of them sewn together. This helps too if you keep them all connected. This way they don't get mixed up or turned on you. I know for me that I'm so angrily challenged that I got to have every little trick in the book that'll help. So here we go. Okay, then the last one, I'm going to, just to make it easier for ease here, I'm going to turn it this way. This is going to go the opposite way. Oh, and I pulled my thread out of my machine somehow or another here. Let's see if I can. There we go. Okay, I don't know what happened there, but anyway, all right. Okay, line that up. Stitch. Make sure the seams nest, and off we go. Okay, so there's what it should look like. So I'm going to give this a press and put the other one together, and then I'll be right back with you. Okay, so you should have your 2 diamond shapes like this. Now Peggy gives you instructions to cut some 17-inch strips, but I was looking at mine, and mine are going to be a little bit shorter than that. I think it's actually going to be about 16 to 16 and a half length, but that's okay. You can still make all of this work, so don't worry about that. So what we're going to do next is sew one of our solid strips to each long side of our diamond pieces here. So let me get all this cleaned up and we'll move this over to the sewing machine. Okay, so I'm just going to put this right sides together and I'm going to just line it up at the top and we're going to sew 1/4 of an inch all the way down. And if it's a little longer, that's okay. We can trim it down. So all the way down. Nice big long seam. And if you're worried about your diamond corner, your points here on the edge, you should have 1/4 of an inch to work with from the very edge of your fabric there. So if you don't want to lose your points, let me show you on this one. So you should have 1/4 of an inch there. So you should have room to be able to keep your point on your center little diamond here. Yeah, mine's going to be about almost an inch over my strip, but that's okay. We'll just trim it down. No big deal. All right, so that is what it's going to look like. Yeah, and I was able to keep my point there, so that's nice. So we're going to sew the other one on to the other side and do the same thing. Just go all the way down the long side here. Make sure it stays lined up. Don't pull or stretch anything. Okay, so there's our second one. So this is now what your piece should be looking like. I'm just going to go ahead and trim off this little bit of extra, so just take a long ruler and line it all the way up with your bottom edge here, and then just trim off this little extra like so. All right, so that is our first panel. So we'll do the other panel and then set these aside because we're going to work on the solid panels. Okay, so I measured my length of these panels here, and mine were 16.5. So just to make sure that everything lined up when I go to put the entire thing together, I cut my panel pieces, my solid pieces, to 16.5 inch length. I kept the original width in the pattern. I think 2 of them are, let me see here, 2 of them are 5 by 5 wide and one is 8.5 wide. She has 17 in the pattern, but I cut mine to 16.5 just so that when I go to put my side borders on, everything is going to line up and nothing is going to be. So I would definitely recommend once you get these panels together, measuring the length and then making sure that these match, because when we lay these out the way that she has them and we go to put these top borders on, you want everything to be even. Otherwise it's going to be off 1/2 of an inch. It's going to make it nearly impossible to get it together. So just measure it. If it comes out 17, that's fantastic. If it doesn't, you know, just make sure that all of your panel pieces, this one, this one, this one, this one, and this one all match. The sashing in between and the borders we can cut to size. That's not a problem. So I just thought I would mention that. So you can set these aside, and we are going to be working on these panels, and actually I think we're going to be sewing them to those. Let me check the directions here. Yeah, don't set these aside. We need these. So we're going to take our 8.5 inch panel and we are going to stitch it in between these 2 panels that we just created, our diamond panels on each side. So let's go to the sewing machine. Okay, so I'm just going to, this is a batik, it doesn't have a right or wrong side, so right sides together on this side, and this will be just an easy seam because it's all the same. There's nothing to match or anything, so just 1/4 of an inch all the way down. And since we cut them all to length, which I'm glad I did now, I was thinking there was sashing in there, but they're not. So I'm glad I went ahead and cut these yellow pieces to match these. We'd have had to trim them anyway, so it all works out. So really, you could make this any size, you know, if you wanted to make this runner bigger, you definitely could by just making bigger half square triangles. All right, so I'm just going to open that up, and we are going to put this panel on that, and I think I'm going to do it this way, upside down here, just like so. So just match up your corners. Don't pull or stretch anything, just match it up. I'm glad I did that because it seems like my bottom panel is just a wee bit bigger. My feed ducts can kind of take some of that in, so that'll work out good. Okay. And I'm still coming up a little bit short on this one, but that's okay. I'll just trim it down. You can see that evidently this one panel was just about 1/4 of an inch longer, but I'm not, like I said, that's one of the beauty of some of these table runners. You can just trim down. Actually, it's not even enough to really worry with, but I am going to go ahead and trim it. If I can find my trimming tool. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and press this seam, and I'm just going to press it to the yellow on both sides. You might want to get out your bigger ironing board for this as it gets bigger. Just so you have a little room to work with. Okay, there we go. All right, so this is what we have so far. All right, so the next thing we're going to do is add our smaller panels to the outer edges of these diamond panels. Since we are adding, if this is the inner part of the table runner, we are adding a sashing to these panels. I'm just going to go ahead and add that first before I add these panels to the part that we just completed, just on one side. Which she cut them at 21, but they're going to need to be 16 and a half. I'm going to have to trim it off, which is no biggie. So I'm just going to add that to each one of these panels first. It's just easier to sew smaller pieces if you have them before, you know, otherwise you're manhandling that whole big entire table runner, at least for me. So you can do however you want. It's going to come out the same. Just all the way down. And I'm going to trim off this piece, and what I'm going to do is just fold it up here, match it up to the bottom, match it up to the sides, and take it and a pair of scissors and go in there and just trim that off and get rid of that. That way it's all the same size. All right, so then we're going to do the same thing on our other panel. Now I think she had us cut these strips at 21, but they actually only need to be 16 and a half or 17, whatever size your little panels ended up being. But she may have done that because instead of adding these now, we were going to add the borders on the top. I don't know. We'll see if I messed up. I don't think I did, but we'll see. Roll that up, line it up with the bottom here, line it up on the sides, and just trim that off. Okay. All right, so now we can add this to our diamond. All right, there's that one. So we want to make sure that sashing is on the outside. So when we open it, that this is on the outside. So we're going to just flip that over. I'll press all of this when I get it finished. So, and line up the corners. You could pin this if you want to, because it is kind of big. I'm just gonna roll with it. Just keep adjusting as you go, bringing all this extra up with you. Okay, then we're going to add the other one to this other side. Easy peasy. This is so cute. I wasn't sure about these colors, but now that I'm looking at it, I'm kind of liking it. Oops, sorry about the noise. Okay, so let's get this pressed and take a look. Okay, so here's what it should look like once you get all of your pieces together. And I'm going to measure this just to see how long it is. And it looks like it's 46.5 inches. So where I messed up, because now I need to add, for my border pieces, I have 2 cut with the fabric, but it's only 42. I should have waited to put these outside edges on and put this top border on first, then put these 21-inch ones on, and they would have fit together. So what I'm going to have to do for mine is take my strips of my with the fabric strips here that go along the top and add just a little piece to it to make them fit. But I'm going to set it up here and show you what it's going to look like. Which is no big deal. I've got plenty of scraps left over, but just so you know, when you're doing this, wait to put these outside ones on. They're 21 inches for a reason, so it would have all fit had I not done that, but that's okay. I can improvise and make it work. But this is what it's going to look like. It's really, really pretty. This gold fabric, I don't know if I can bring you guys up here. It's hard to see on camera, but because it has that gold fleck in it, this gold goes with it really, really, really well. So let me fix these strips and I'll get it all put together and show you what it looks like. Okay guys, so here it is, all its glory. So what I did was took with the fabric strips, cut another strip, sewed it to the very end of it, measured out 46 inches, and then added this to the top and the bottom. That turned out really cute. Like I said, I wasn't sure about these colors, but I really like that, and super easy. It went together very quickly. So perfect project. You can quilt this any way you want to. I think what I'm going to do is just echo around all of my seams here, just on the outside and maybe on the inside of the diamonds and inside of this, you know, twice, and to get it quilted, and yeah, it'll look great. So yeah, one thing I did want to mention also is when you're sewing your borders on, be sure to back stitch at the start and the end, because this is your final stitching. You're crossing over all the other stitching, locking it in, but these ends are liable to come apart. So anytime you're putting a border on, be sure to back stitch at the start and the end, because that's your last stitching evident, you know, that's going to hold your quilt or whatever together. So yeah, so there that is. Okay, so that was our project for January. Next month we'll have a small project. I've already got an idea in mind, so it's going to be fun and it'll be easy and it's useful. I'll just give you those clues. So if you can't download the instructions from the link I provide in the description box below here, go to Peggy's Quilting Group. She'll upload a copy there. And I did make some notes on mine so that hopefully you guys can understand all of that, and hopefully I explained it all enough where you can make sense of it. So anyway, yeah, there's our table runner. I love that. I'm actually really, really liking it. All right, so happy quilting, you guys. I'll see you next month.